This girl after she told you what size shirt you wore?
Well, I kept on coming to the store every day to buy a pair of shoelaces. Next day, maybe a tie or something like that.
She was in all different departments, huh?
Well, I was always chasing after her.
I see. And you finally lost your shirt, is that it?
Finally.
Well, what happened then? Was this girl the only one you took out,
well,
or did you have dates with other women?
No, I took her mother, too.
What was her mother selling?
Well, she was a perfect chaperone, so we took her along with us.
You mean you went out on a date, you took the old lady along, too?
Yes, indeed.
And what happened?
Well...
Silly question, huh?
You know, the 5 children.
Well, when you went out on these dates, what did the chaperone do? Did they just curl up with a good book?
No, they did the same thing as we did.
You mean you have 10 kids now? I stayed away from Mexico too long. Was this here or in Mexico?
No, this was here.
Oh, well, maybe I'll cancel my trip.
On another occasion, Groucho's guest was a French woman, and the audience seemed to be ready for what was about to happen. In fact, as is often the case, the audience was way ahead of us.
Now, Blanche, as a newcomer to this country, have you had any frightening experiences?
Well, I'm not a newcomer. I've been here 30 years. But I've had an experience once.
Recently?
Oh, no, quite a while back.
Mm-hmm. What happened? Could you tell us?
Oh, yes. I saw a woman friend have a mix master. And my husband told me...
Mix master?
Mix master, yeah. You know those...
You mean her husband?
No, my friend had.
Oh.
A woman friend.
Well, what do you mean? You mean her husband was confused?
No, to make cakes, you know.
I thought you meant he was a mixed master. And that...
Anyway, they called it the mix master. You put your business in there and it... You know, your eggs and everything.
Clip, clip, clip. Here we go again.
My husband, he said...
And you think they're dirty-minded in France, huh?
He said, I'll make you one that'll beat that any time. So he had the motor of an old vacuum cleaner.
Would you mind starting over again? Have you ever had any frightening experiences in this country?
Well, that was a little bit frightening.
What happened?
He made me a mix master with a vacuum cleaner motor.
That we can use. Huh?
And then there was the sweet little old lady from Tennessee who ran a boarding house for college students. I'm sure you'll remember her, but maybe you won't remember this conversation because it never got on the air. And here it is.
Well, what did you do away up there north in Tennessee, Grandma?
I ran boarding house for the college students. And
college students?
Yeah. And I had the boys on the first floor and the girls on the second floor. And I sure kept me busy. Lots of times I felt like using a broom.
Why, did you want to fly around the room or something?
No, I wanted to whip them out sometime.
Well, I don't understand. Why did you have the boys on the first floor and the girls on the second floor? It seems to me that you should have given the girls the preference and put them on the first floor.
Well, we didn't.
You didn't, huh? And you have no reason for this at all?
No, not special.
So what happened? Why did you want to use the broom? Was it getting pretty filthy, this joint?
Well, you know, sometimes you feel like it.
Well, what
feel like using the broom.
What was going on?
Just different things.
I didn't know there were any different things. I'm so innocent and naive.
And then another evening, Groucho was confronted by a rather generously endowed housewife with the following result. Let's look at this.
Where you from, Joes?
Oh, Arkansas.
Boy, do we get
I
familiar
was
fast,
born
huh?
in Arkansas.
I beg your pardon? Would you mind throwing that out again?
Oh.
No. What have we here? What Marilyn Monroe is doing to this country shouldn't happen to us all.
born in a little shack in Arkansas.
At ease. I guess it's impossible, huh?
You may recall a retired vaudevillian who had been in the original Gus Edwards Postal Telegraph Boys act with Groucho back in the good old days. When he appeared on the show, of course, this led to some reminiscing with this result. Let's look at it, shall we?
But you know, I didn't sing that song, Dave.
I know you did.
You know, I sang Somebody's Sweetheart.
Do you know that?
Yeah, sure, I remember it.
Will you sing it?
Yeah, well, I'll sing it as best I can. Somebody... A place I have to tell you about this. Some big catastrophe took place in the United States. I don't remember what it was exactly, but we gave a benefit, and it was at the Metropolitan Opera House in New York, because at that time, that was the biggest theater. And I walked out on the stage, and there were 60 musicians sitting out front, dressed in evening clothes. I'd never seen anybody dressed in evening clothes, except my father when he got married. But here were all... Here were these 60 men, and I was stiff with fright, but I bellowed this song out. I was young enough to have courage in those days. Anyhow, this is the way the chorus went. Of course, you must remember that I could sing then. Somebody's sweetheart I want to be. Somebody's heart beating all for me. Somebody's two arms around me when I feel blue. Somebody's sweetheart, and that means you. That was it.
And finally, probably our all-time favorite. This is a sequence that has never before seen the light of day. And if we want to stay on the air, I guess it never will. It features a rather remarkable woman who runs a boarding house in Hollywood. And I can't wait to see this one myself.
A boarding house keeper must have many curious experiences, Mrs. Boehner. Do you have any hot ones you could tell us about?
Well, the worst one was when I first got married. I thought I'd surprise my husband. So I took him...
What'd you do, get him some steak from a cow?
No,
That would have galvanized him.
No, I decided I would bake him some rolls. So I put 2 yeast cakes in, and I didn't get
In your husband?
No. In the rolls.
Oh.
And then I put 3 more in. I still couldn't get no rise out of them. So then
Before you arrived here, this was a perfectly innocent audience. Well, go on with the story, huh? We're hell-bent anyhow. Let's You know, you're not supposed to be funnier than I am, huh? Let me get an occasional chuckle here. Well, you went to the store.
then I got 5 more yeast cakes. And still I couldn't get no rise out of it.
He must have been around Mount Whitney by this time. Well, did he ever sail back again?
So in disgust, I got so disgusted, I went and buried it in the backyard.
Isn't it against the law?
Well, I even planted a geranium on top of it.
Well, that's a very interesting story, Mrs. Boehner.
Well, I didn't finish it.
didn't you finish your husband? I don't know.
You hear the last of it.
Well, let's
So
have it.
about 3 days later, the sun was shining and it was hot. So he come running in the house and he said,
He was still alive?
he didn't eat it yet.
Oh.
So he come running in the house and he said, Ann, come look, see what's coming out of our house, out of the ground. So this yeast had risen about 1.5 foot, and right on top was a geranium. So I had to confess and tell him what I did.
Is he still alive?
Well, I think so.
Well, you better check when you get home tonight. Huh?
He didn't eat the rolls, though.
Oh, he didn't.
No.
Is there anything else funny happened to you?
Well, yeah.
That we could possibly use on the show? Not my fault, huh? Before you go, I just want to tell you to drop in and see me anytime. And when you do, tell me a DeSoto sent you. No holding it once they get to you. They love to laugh at anyone's misfortune.
Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is door. D-O-O-R.
Really?
You bet your life.
Now, what is gung-ho? Does that mean you worked in a Chinese laundry?
No, Groucho, that's marine talk. That means you're all marine.
Are you sure your husband hasn't lost some of his buttons in this laundry?
I don't think he ever lost his buttons in the laundry, but he lost his pants at the wedding.
That's a little premature, isn't it? Take a nice save. Huh?
But I've
Well,
had...
tell us about some unusual experience
Yes, this happened off duty.
that we can conceivably use here tonight.
This happened off duty.
You've said very little that we can, but perhaps something will come out that we won't get arrested.
Well, my most interesting experience, I believe, happened as a result of a newspaper ad that I answered a year or so ago. A gentleman in Laguna Beach advertised in the Post...
There are no gentlemen in Laguna Beach.
No, this gentleman is now abroad. Didn't come out the way I meant it.
This couldn't be Christine, huh? Well, I'll have stuff for next year, huh? Is Pat still working across the hall from you, Les?
Yes, she is.
Do you believe a woman should work after she's married?
No, but I believe it's only right until we get a little money ahead in case of a sudden little mishap.
That's certainly a new name for it, huh? Just what do you mean by that, Les? And I hope you don't mean what they think you mean. What do you mean by that?
Well, anything can come about. Any emergency
No, not
can
anything.
arise. Different things can arise.
I see. By the way, Pat, back to the baking powder. Did you read is he related to you, this character in Indiana?
No, we're not connected in any way.
Not even the jawbone with the knee bone? Each bone connected with the jawbone, and jawbone connected with the bone, and football. Can you do a grind, Sue? Sue, can you do a grind?
I have 2 children.
say he went to Japan after that, huh?
About 25 years, Groucho.
What have you learned after being 25 years in politics?
Well, the old-fashioned way is still the best.
I must have some reputation, you know. There isn't anything anybody can say to me anymore that doesn't evoke some kind of a dirty laugh from the audience. What do you mean by the old-fashioned way?
Well, just...
What were you studying at this Fenneman's Waterloo?
I was studying. My major was nursing, and my minor was...
Your major was a nurse?
Nursing.
Oh, nursing.
And my minor was psychology.
Oh. And did you become a nurse?
I was a nurse before I started for my... I had an RN degree before I started for the BS.
Well, what's an RN? I won't ask you what the other letter is.
RN stands for...
What's that?
RN stands for registered nurse.
It does, huh?
Yes.
Now, what is the most unusual thing you've been asked to purchase?
Well, I would say let's see, just recently we had a request over the phone for the magic pillow. You know, it's a very unusual gift.
Tell me, quick, what is it?
Well, it's...
What does it do? Hurry, hurry.
One of these pillows, you know, and you put it in, it's electrical, and you plug it in the wall, and then it wiggles, and you can sit on it, and it massages your spine, and, well, when you're watching television, you can put it on your, put your feet on it, and massages your feet, and, well,
if I'm going to get something that wiggles, I don't want a pillow. Why don't you sell him one of those? There's no women up in that camp. You may think you were describing a pillow. You were actually describing the girl of my dreams. I hate to leave this seductive subject, but Paul, let's get back to your work. Do you chop any trees down yourself? No.
No, because they're busy working by themselves.
Well, so am I, but that's another story, huh?
And they work 24 hours a
And a
day.
pretty foul one, too, huh?
They work 24 hours a day for you.
They do, huh?
And each worm lays an egg every 7 days. And at the end of
You could go
21
in
days...
television, huh?
At the end of 21 days, those eggs hatch. And there's from 1 to 20 worms in each egg. And when the baby's 3 months old, it's mature and starts laying. And every worm lays.
What a life, huh? Remember when people used to, they'd talk to somebody else and they'd want to insult them? They'd say, you poor worm, you.
I have 2 girls also.
You have 2 girls?
Uh-huh.
How old are they?
Well, my oldest one, Ruth Ann, is 16. She was just chosen Miss Quartzville and Queen of the Almond Festival.
Well, that's
She'll
a
be,
nice title, Miss Quartzville, yeah.
We'd like you to come up and see us.
Well, I
Could you
might.
come to the festival?
I might. When is it?
7th of March. Dick Lane's going to be up there, and I think that you'd be real good up there.
Well, if you have Dick Lane, I don't think you'd need me.
Well, I don't know.
I think they do. Yeah, they do very well.
Did you have a girl in this country that you were enamored of, and that was the reason you didn't want to accept this chief's offer?
No, I don't have a girl, Groucho.
You don't have any girl?
No, sir.
Why? How old did you say you were?
31.
You had a girl, I imagine.
Well, how do you mean that?
Well, I meant it in the nicest way you possibly could. I I mean, at some time in these 31 years, there must have been some girl that you liked, wasn't there?
I like traveling better, I'm afraid.
Well, I don't see the comparison, but I suppose... I know you need a bag when you travel, but I don't know.
Call me madam, will you please?
I'll call
That's
you
much
madam,
nicer.
huh?
That's nicer.
Well, in some circles, that's not considered such a nice thing. I will compromise and call you mademoiselle, huh?
That's all right. I used to be mademoiselle.
Well, who wasn't, huh?
And they took 20 girls up to the capital, Stockholm, and picked out 9 girls and introduced them in the weekly review, who always are the sponsor of Miss Sweden. And then the population of Sweden voted.
And you were an overwhelming success, huh? You breezed in. You were like native dancer, in other words, huh? Native dancer should look that good.
What is that, man?
Native dancer was a famous racehorse who had just retired as stud. Okay, I don't give you any stuff, but stop crouching, Dwan. It'll get you nothing, man. Well, let's get back to the Miss Universe contest. You say this was held in Stockholm?
Oh.
Actually, I thought you were around 13 and just been bar mitzvahed. What are you laughing at? You know what that means?
Yes, I heard a Chinese joke about that, but I forgot. That was a punchline. Say something in Chinese.
Yeah. I think we can skip over that whole thing here. This isn't turning out the way I contemplated, eh? Either that or they turn into an omelet. You say they throw vegetables at each other?
Yes, indeed.
Are these vegetables still in the can?
Cans? No, we don't
or do they can what they can?
You see, we don't have cans in Pakistan.
You don't?
We believe in having everything fresh.
You see, this audience, Pat, let me explain something to you. This audience is even filthier than I am. The slightest shading they will pick up and gobble.
So you lived in the hills?
How long?
Well, I lived there about 20 years in caves and under trees and top of trees.
What sort of comforts of home did you have there? Huh?
Well, I had a sleeping bag and football and a shopping bag full of nuts.
What was the football for?
Well, I never had a tree mate. I mean, I never had a girlfriend or a friend, so I had to play with something, so I played with the football.
I've heard of people making a forward pass, but this was with 11 men.
All the objects...
You know, that's something I've never understood, Helen. What is the purpose of the glass egg? How does it work?
Well,
what is the principle of it?
Well, the principle of putting a glass egg under the youngsters is to keep the old pair satisfied.
Well, they're up in Bakersfield, aren't they?
Well, no, as a rule, you only shift the one. You don't shift the pair when you ship. You leave one at home.
Well, why do you... still don't understand why you put a glass egg under them. What does that do?
Well, that's just so you don't raise too many youngsters, too many squeakers.
Well, suppose there isn't a glass egg under the pigeon. What happens?
Well, then he just goes to work again.
Well, I guess that's as far as we can go on that. Well, you've certainly clarified that, Helen.
We had no playing cards or any way to entertain the boys, so we sat on the floor and played these tiddlywinks.
About 9 o'clock, the manager...
It was 9 in the morning?
No, at night.
Same night, huh?
They'd only been there about a half an hour when
And you whipped out the tiddlywinks as soon as they got there, huh? Must have been a great kick to these fellas. Huh? Imagine these two guys getting off the boat and say, let's go over to her apartment. We're going to get some hot tiddlywinks. Huh? One guy says, no, let's go to a barroom. He says, you nuts, let's go over that tiddlywink thing there. So what happened? There you are, the four of you on the floor playing tiddlywinks. Huh?
And the manager came up.
The manager? He wanted to get in the game, too?
No, he knocked on the door very loudly, and he said we were making too much noise, that we would have to go out and seek entertainment somewhere else.
You were making too much noise playing tiddlywinks?
Playing tiddlywinks.
What were you playing with, loaded tiddlies? or were you using manhole covers? Well, is the food any good in this hash house?
Wonderful. I eat chicken every night. I think I'm going to turn into a hen.
Well, you haven't got too far to go, man.
I'm already there.
No, I don't think John, are potatoes really fattening?
No, sir. It's what you put on them that's fattening.
What do you mean?
Oh, butter, gravy, cheese. But if you put that on a mattress, it'll fatten you too.
That's one of the few things I've never had on a mattress. I just couldn't resist it. You had 5 kids and no pigs, huh?
And we got 3 more.
3 pigs?
3 more kids.
You now have 8 kids?
Yeah, 8 kids.
And where is your husband? Is he in the audience?
No, just died 3 years ago. I know though.
How do you know he died? Maybe he's just hiding.
No.
Well, I'm sorry he's dead, Anna, but he said he knew what he was doing. Do you have your beady eye on another potential?
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah.
Well, let's go on with this lesson then. Now.
All right, now.
Now, suppose somebody comes in and wants to take a lesson. Let's say that he wants to come in and he wants to take some lessons. What is the first thing you do?
I find out if they want to be professionals, amateurs, or just sing in the bathroom. That's a great, that helps me a great deal about the teaching.
I see. There's 3 kinds of...
There are 3 kinds of singers, yes.
There's professional, amateur, and crane plumbing, in other words.
The crane plumbers, I tell them to go back home. Yes.
Well, they usually have the best pipes of all, you know. How would you analyze me?
You? Oh, every time I see you with a cigar in your mouth, I think of all the frustrations you had as a child and the wrong kind of a bottle that they gave you. Of a bottle.
Mademoiselle, it may interest you to know that I never had a bottle.
You're still looking for it in your cigar.
Well, it's been a very enervating experience, darling. And one I never hope to go through again. However, the time has come, the war was said to play You Bet Your Life.
You could put out, I started to say before, would be philodendron salome. Wonderful, wonderful tropical. That could be put out during the spring.
All right. Well, when I come back from delivering the roses at Mary's house, I'll drop by and we'll plan some things together. Eh?
Good. Look me up. I'll help you.
It'll be real cozy, yeah? All right. Now you're going to play You Bet Your Life for a chance. At the 2,500, you know, I won't be home late in the afternoon. I forgot to get this. Those roses need watering, you know, and you have to take care of them.
They should be sulfured, too, and
Yeah,
sprayed
well,
and fertilized.
Imagine taking roses out to a girl's house and fertilizing them. That's what he wants me to do, huh? Well, I guess everyone has to start from the bottom. Now, Mr. Bragg, we take that out anyhow. Now, Mr. Sprague, take out practically everything I say. Now, Mr. Sprague, that's you, isn't it, Mr. Sprague?
It's me.
I presume you both know how to play this game, eh?
Yes, we do.
This is Mr. Fenneman, who wears perfume all the time. This is Senor Cunard, and this is Fifi. No, Tiny.
I know. How do you do? Groucho, before we go, I don't speak French
He's not going to give you any perfume, free, you know, if that's what you're after.
I'd like him to give me the translation for the joke, though.
Oh. Would you mind translating that joke that you told before?
All right. I'll try.
Is it safe? I mean, after all, Tiny is here, too, you know.
You always can take me off the air if it is not. And the story is that...
Yeah, but they're liable to take me off the air. You have another business.
The story is a man who was getting married and he asked to his fiancée, what do you wear at night? A nightgown of pyjama? And the girl answered, all I wear is arpège.
I hope you're satisfied, George. George, I hope that'll teach you to keep sticking your nose in our business here.
I've learned my lesson.
Raise quite a stink with a joke like that.
Before we go on, may I make an announcement here?
Well, you may. I don't approve of it. You can go ahead and make
Well, this is a serious announcement for a doctor in our audience. There's nothing wrong with anybody here at the show.
Hell there isn't, huh?
Dr. Hoyt, one of the pages...
Hoyt, that's a fine name for a doctor, Dr. Hoyt.
Has a call for you, sir. Which page is it? Will you, over there?
It's probably Clotworthy having another kid, huh?
If you just...
Doctor, why don't you pay your bills and they won't be badgering you in the middle of a performance, huh?
I guess...
you know, that was an old joke of Bob Benchley's years ago. He went into some theater up in Boston. It was the opening night of a very important play. And he was kind of lit. And he stood up in the middle of the first act in a very dramatic scene and says, is there a doctor in the house? And the doctor stands up in the balcony and says, I'm a doctor. He says, how do you like the show, Doc? Why do you say I never have my legs crossed? Well, there you are. That's the difference between an ordinary world's tennis champ and an international pancake champion. Pancho, if you want to beat Benny, you'd better start chasing automobiles.
Well, she's got me tired already.
Was it much of a trick to run and flip flapjacks at the same time?
Yes. In fact, I almost lost a race once by dropping my pancake right at the finish line.
You dropped your pancake right at the finish line?
Yes.
Well, what happened? Did your elastic break?
No, I guess I was just excited, and then
well, did you pick it up again? I mean, was there a mixed crowd there?
You can pick up the skillet.
You can't pick up your pancake? Huh?
You can pick up the pancake, flip it again, and then cross the finish line. However,
I didn't know you could flip those things. I thought you could just pick them up. That's all.
Oh, you flip them.
Well, aren't they full of grease by this time? They don't care what condition this pancake is in when the race is over.
So long as you come in with one piece of it. But you do have to come in.
How small a piece would you say you have to come in?
Well, there has been a lot of controversy.
What's the smallest piece you ever came in with? Do you know?
Well, even though I've dropped mine, I've always come in with a full pancake.
You dropped your pancake, but you still come in with it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, where do you drop your pancake? At Sandy Hook, like the ships coming in from Europe? When is this contest held?
It's always on Shrove Tuesday. It's an annual event.
Shrove Tuesday?
Shrove Tuesday, that's the day before the start of Lent. Incidentally, it will be next February the 14th.
Well, isn't it pretty cold to be dropping your pancake around in February?
Well, most of the time the weather is very pleasant. However, 2 years ago, I did get a mild case of frostbite.
Well, I should think so. You have a good chance of freezing your waffle running like that. You say you went on your honeymoon and you took your fishing tackle
She
with you?
insisted I take it.
Well, Ed, if I was going on my honeymoon and my wife told me to be sure and bring my fishing tackle, I don't think I'd go on that honeymoon.
I didn't fish a lot, you know, but I mean, I had it.
Well, she certainly had the hooks into you, didn't she?
She got them, yeah.
You have male manicurists in that shop?
No.
Why is it when you're getting, when you're sitting in a chair, the barb will ask you a question, and just as you go to answer, he slaps a hot towel on your kisser, huh? Show them all the teeth. Oh, take them out and pass them around. You went to college for that, huh? Let's keep it this way now, nice and quiet and subdued, huh?
All right.
UCLA, 53.
Groucho, Gene Gross, and Bill Mihalo.
Before you go any further, I've been getting a lot of mail recently from people saying that I don't like you and that I ride you on the show and everything. And you know that isn't true, George. You know I love you.
I didn't know that much.
If you were a woman, I'd have snapped you up long ago. I just want you to know that, George.
Well, I knew that. Yes, sir.
You did know it, huh?
Yes. I mean, I knew you liked me in your own way.
Edward's that tinny is so, Edward's that tinny is so, Stenny is the tattooed lady. She has eyes that men adore so, and a torso even more so. Edward's that tinny is so, Edward's... All right, you ready?
I'm not sure, but maybe later on. We have a young
man. This is a paper-made pen, did you know?
I was aware, yes.
You can wash your hair with this. You just rub prom on the inside and squeeze it out like this. Now, I've noticed the local sports writers are pretty annoyed with you. Why is that? Because they're not getting paid?
Well, they are. Most of them are. That's the problem.
Are they?
Now you hit it right on the head.
Oh.
They get free grog. They get free food.
Grog, you're referring to booze?
Well, in England, they call it grog.
Oh.
Yes, that is booze. They get free steaks.
Well, why do you say grog when you're over here?
Well, because when they were proselyting Ronnie, that's what I saw a lot of was grog and shall we say, booze?
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's say booze.
All right, booze.
Will you say booze?
Booze?
Yes, says it pretty good, too, huh?
What is booze?
You know, when you fall down, you get a booze on your leg.
I'm going to pick her up.
Now you got three.
One more for $1,000.
Well, I only have 2 more questions left in this category. If you get one of them right, I'll give you the $1,000 anyway, just because you've come this far. Yes, that's true. You keep out of this, huh? A strange gnome whining in back of me here. Finally gets on your nerves between that and that hornblower over there.
No.
Well, what do you felt?
Groucho felt has over 60,000 commercial uses for ladies' apparel as well as industrial uses.
Well, name one specifically.
Well, automobiles couldn't run without felt. Aeroplanes couldn't run. The girls in California have that new look by this...
You mean the girls couldn't run without felt? Well, a lot of them have felt and then run, huh? Are you from Mars, or are you just from outer space? Now, you say you were sent here to see our president?
Not exactly, Groucho.
I'll get around to you shortly, Shorty. I think we better make it gradual, huh?
Okay.
My doctor says I have to avoid shock. Well, how would you know if I had any talent?
Well, first of all, to expose you to the medium, I would make accessible to you a lump of clay.
What about this live model you have?
We could arrange for a live model present, too.
That'd be good, I think.
I could, we could find some clay for you and a sharpened stick, and after...
You give me a stick and that live model, and I'll do my own business. Need hell out of her.
And he got a Dear John letter.
You got a Dear
We'll go
John?
back, yeah.
Well, there's one on every floor, you know.
Yeah.
What did this
He got
one say?
one, and I read it to him. And that
What
was
is a Dear John letter? I don't understand this. Is this put out by the American Can Company?
Yeah.
I'm back in my own dainty self tonight.
My mother was a very fanciful woman. There were 12 of us in the family. We have not one John, nor Frank, nor Joseph, nor Mary.
You have no John? They say they do things different in India.
Well, my middle name is Arania. I have a brother named Chadwick.
Well, it's
Kennedy.
Arania tonight, isn't it?
Oh, that it is.
Mabel, in addition to all these peculiar talents that you have, I mean Mabel. Miss Stone Driver. What else do you do? Dance? You paint, I presume, too, huh?
Well, a little, but I do some special. I come up with trends for the...
Come up with tramps, did you say?
Trends for the future with my fourth dimensional ideas. Fourth dimensional.
What do you mean? You mean you're a fortune teller?
Oh, no, fourth dimensional, that's I base on rhythm and waves. It's out of this world.
Well, do you... Well, I would say you're halfway out now. Me and Mr. Kushner and I may have to pull you back in. You look pretty clean to me. You don't look like you need 2 showers a day.
Well, I guess I need to laundry.
Oh.
Well,
how many showers a day do you take, Ella?
Once every year. Waterskis, California.
You see, you should have married Ella instead of... You'd be pretty gamey by this time.
She would never help me very much like she has, I'll tell you that, Mark.
What else does she make you do besides stay clean?
Well, you know, we have a lot of the boys do a lot of cake.
Are you allowed to talk in the shower?
Well, I can't even say hi because she says, shut up and get up in here.
Well, is she in the shower with you? How does she know what you're saying?
Well, the shower is between the bedroom and the kitchen. She goes by to find out whether I'm taking a shower or not. Sometimes she even looks through the window to find out whether I'm taking a shower or not. And sometimes I put the water on, let it roll, and I close it back in, and she says, I'm watching you through the window.
Well, she's just crazy about you, that's all. She just can't get enough of you.
With 4 kids?
Yeah. You're going to wish you were back in Manila or whatever. You didn't have to take a bath over there twice a day, did you?
No, sir.
Well, is the oxygen business pretty profitable?
Well, sometimes it's almost too good. He's on 24-hour call, and...
He's on 24-hour call, and you've got 10 kids?
He gets home in between calls.
Imagine if he had a job around the house. You say he's away a good deal of the time, Marjorie?
Well, he's, a lot of people call in right at dinner time. He's gone quite a bit through putting the kids to bed and on Sundays
dusting off
and
the one.
holidays.
Did you ever stop to think perhaps it isn't business that keeps him away, Marjorie?
Oh, I've
You may
thought
be
of
afraid
it,
to come
yeah.
home. If he comes in the door and says, "What's new?" you're liable to tell him. Was he a Frenchman?
Yes, he was a Frenchman.
Who was he? What kind of a job did this fellow have?
He was the vice mayor of Paris.
The vice mayor of Paris?
That's right. Don't confuse it with other vice.
Those Frenchmen are so droll. What was his job specifically?
Well, he had to go to very many official things and travel in many countries, foreign countries, representing France, and all this sort of thing that has to do with being mayor of Paris.
Well, it sounds like an ideal existence. What happened to your marriage?
Bing.
Bing?
Finished.
You mean you ran into Crosby?
Well, he was always very busy and very ambitious to get even bigger than he was. And
Voulez-vous coucher avec toi? Huh?
oh, stop!
It's nice to have a virgin on the show like that. Well, here I am again, back on the job after a long, hot summer. There's a pretty baffling statement, huh? And I'm ready to start my 12th year on You Bet Your Life. Did you know that, George? 12 years.
Yes.
One more year and I'll get bar mitzvah. Well, didn't the cashew object to being called a nut if it was a fruit?
Well, it objected probably in the fruity world, but you see...
Well, I must say, I've strayed a little far away from... What kind of modeling have you done, Grace?
Well, I used to model stockings in Cuba, and I've modeled coats.
Do you wear stockings in Cuba?
No, but I just modeled.
No. Just thought they wore coconuts down there and frozen daiquiris.
I
had a frozen daiquiri once when I was up north. Last time I go out without long underwear. What are you laughing at, Paul? I'm afraid to talk to him. He'll stand on his head again.
I used to model maternity clothes about a month ago.
You modeled what?
Maternity clothes.
Maternity clothes.
Well, anybody can model maternity clothes.
Well, he couldn't, for example. I tried it once, and I was a complete failure.
No, I don't think so, but he had an old battleship during the Russo-Japanese
Well, he's had
War.
many an old battleship all day, huh? I mean, when he was single.
Oh, you're terrible.
Yes, that's I'm not only terrible, but revolting.
No, I don't agree with that.
Big, luscious blonde like you and not married?
No,
Are you interested in matrimony?
not necessarily.
Well, that's a different joke. I know the answer. Now, Muriel, could you explain that joke to me? Apparently, I'm more English than he is. Or you are. What did he mean by that?
Well, Robinson Crusoe was shipwrecked on a desert island.
And my kid told me that.
And when he got there, he met a man and became bosom friends with him. And then...
Man was a bosom friend?
He was a very good friend.
That's quite a trick. No wonder he stayed on that island so long. I'd have been there yet under those conditions. Now, would you mind starting all over again?
The first thing you notice is that I think the American works a lot harder than anybody else. You know, he's
Adorable.
You think he's adorable?
I love that beard.
No, I think
perhaps he'll give it to you later on. Would you part with this if she wanted it real bad?
It depends how badly she wanted it.
Well, in that case, would you part with it?
Oh, yes. Can I get on?
I want you to lay down on the bench.
That's what I want you to do. Huh?
I think you better right now.
I think you're a mind reader. That's what I think.
Lay down.
Lie down.
Lie down. Excuse me.
You know, in the average American home, there are so many frozen dinners that even the housewives are getting frigid. I better stop after that, I guess. But this is your partner, René. Now, good luck to you both. Who was the barbarian conqueror known as the Scourge of God? Scourge of God. S-C-O-U-R-G-E. Scourge. Scourge. Scrooge. Scrouge of God. What's the difference? They don't know it anyhow. They don't know it, and I can't pronounce it. It's a real classy quiz show we have. You go on one of those big quiz shows, and they don't mispronounce anything. But they give you entertainment.
Damascus?
What's that?
Damascus?
Damascus? No, the Maskers are down in Hollywood. That's a theatrical club. Now, the Jacinto Monument, that's what it says here. Jacinto. It says Jacinto. Oh, the San Jacinto. Isn't that Jewish, Jacinto? Of course it is. They go, da, 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 Jacinto. You can't give them questions like this. These people don't know any Jewish. Have you met Mr. Dwan? He just became a father again. You'll have to go to some number that I can pronounce here. Huh? The San Jacinto Monument. Is that all right?
Well, there are two lines that appeared originally in Look called Guessing Game. It's hard to know what to deduce from girls who wear their sweaters loose.
Now, did you get much comment on that poem?
Well, I had a good deal from around home, and I did have one reaction which came from a dean of an Eastern college. And he said he liked my two lines very much, but he thought two other lines should be added. Said that you sometimes can't be sure you're right, even when they wear them tight.
Well, there's a lot more things going on in college than I ever thought. Pete, are you married?
Yes, I am.
You don't subscribe to her philosophy at all, do you?
I've been at it 33 years, and I think
You've
it's going to work.
been at it. Well, that's a kind of a...
He must be worn out by now.
You say you've been at it for 33 years? That's one of the earliest descriptions of marriage I've ever heard. I have a line which we can't use. No, the line is that a man is as young as the women he feels, but...
That's censored, Groucho.
You're going to be censored as of right now.
You say that you feel like a kid? Like a teenager?
Oh, yes.
And then we could go split a Coke, and then after that, maybe I'll let you ride tandem on my motor scooter.
Baby Tanner won't like it.
Well,
no, I'm going to be censored.
well, I think you should. We'll go down to Wheeling, West Virginia and do this, huh? Didn't you say your wife was going with a guy who was in the can at the moment?
No,
what was he doing in the pokey?
There wasn't a can, it was the jail, the county jail.
Well, you may not be aware of it in Texas, but up here where we live, in California, can is a euphemism for the jail. Is that clear now?
Not quite.
No. Well, I don't understand it either. Well, now, suppose you became a famous actress and then you met somebody you liked and got married. Would you be willing to quit acting and be a housewife and a mother?
Well, I think if you keep your feet on the ground, you can combine both. That's what I would like to do.
Well, if you keep your feet on the ground, you'll never be a mother. That's what they call a waste of film. All right, let's get back to decent dialogue. This conversation is getting filthier all the time, you know. There's a commercial going on now,
I wondered where.
which gives you an opportunity to go to the bathroom. How do you feel about your honeymoon trip? Would you say it was a success? By this time you were fully dressed, I imagine. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, it was a very, very nice trip, Groucho. The four of us took off, and we saw a lot of nice country.
No, you did that during You had to take another couple along. This fella has a strip obsession.
Well, we were on the countryside.
It's certainly a pretty filthy crowd out there.
Okay.
What do you say?
San Jacinto.
San Francisco. San Francisco, that's near
California.
The San Jacinto Monument. It says Jacinto here. The San Jacinto Monument is the tallest in the United States. Now, in what state is it located? How popular are your books?
Well, I can only say that up until last week, I made the bestseller list of the New York Times, but they kicked me out this week.
I got to tell you a story. Speaking of loose, I was at a dinner party one night out in Bel Air someplace, and my dinner partner was Claire Booth Luce. And she didn't have any car. She came there in a cab, and at midnight the party broke up, and she asked me, somebody suggested that I take Miss Luce home, which I proceeded. She got in the car with me, and we started. It was kind of one of those foggy nights in Bel Air, and I couldn't find the place where she was living. So I finally got out of the car. There was a lamppost there, and she got on. And I started to climb up the lamppost, and there's big clumps of bushes around each lamppost in Bel Air. And I'm climbing up there looking for the name of the street, and just then Charlie Brackett, the writer, comes along. He walks his dog every night at midnight. He comes along, he says, well, I've seen everything, but I never thought I'd see Groucho Marx and the Italian ambassador in the bushes in Bel Air. That's a true story.
Well, I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Okay, you've been married about 8.5 months. No, you don't. Shows you what trouble you can get into if you have a loose tongue. Interesting. How'd you get to be a hobo? Were you in television and your rating dropped? Was it something like that? You got a bad Nielsen?
No, Groucho.
You know what that is, a Nielsen? Well, what happened? How did you get to be a panhandler? Panhandler can also be a chambermaid, but in this case... Boy, do they love anything obscene out there. And they look so gentle and... You do this at night?
Oh, no, we can do it in the daytime by shutting off the lights, sort of thing.
Well, is it more fun to do at night?
Well, what were you referring to?
Well, that depends on what you have up your sleeve. Well, you wouldn't know anything about that subject anyway. Doc, let me ask you something else. Do you believe a beautiful girl like Kay belongs in business or in some fortunate man's kitchen? To use a euphemism.
Well, besides in kitchen and other places, but I also think that beautiful women should be
Just
wonderful.
What do you mean by that, other places? This is a family show.
This is a family show?
Yes. And you can get one standing here.
Yeah, I doubt it. That would be a most unique biological mechanism. But, no, I feel actually...
Maybe that's why your show went off the air, this kind of conversation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what kind of families are we showing this to?
The decadent ones, I think. What else do you make that we could conceivably discuss here? Do you ever talk shop at home with your husband?
Oh, yes. Home is shop for us. Mm-hmm. In fact, one night my husband woke me up by talking in his sleep, and he turned to me and he said, young lady, do you have your statement of identity?
And what did you say? You know, I'm a stranger here myself? And then after that, I suppose you got married, huh? Well, I would hope so, huh?
No, what I said
You
to
didn't
him...
get married even then? What were you waiting for?
No, when he asked...
Where were the other 3 lawyers? Under the bed? Fine law firm this is, huh?
No.
What happened?
Well, when he asked me that, I simply said to him, I said, this is one heck of a time to ask for it.
Well, I bet I'll just skip that, huh?
And,
is that on another network?
It's on another network.
Well, let's be honest about it and name the network.
Well, I can't remember the name. The initials are CBS.
That's the Crooked Network, isn't it? Isn't that the network where the president is always making statements in Washington?
Dr. Stanton?
Yes.
Oh, he takes a lot of time off from his house calls to make these statements. But they've always treated me fair and square, and I haven't had a shady dollar out of that network or any other kind either.
Well, it's early yet. I assume sometime in the future I'll hear from you from Mexico, I suppose, huh?
Yes.
You'll be down there with O'Dwyer and a few of the other boys.
And down in the Sierra Madre, yeah.
Now, are the adventures of Dobie Gillis somewhat autobiographical?
Well, no, I am not a teenage dwarf. I'm kind of a middle-aged dwarf.
Yeah, I'm afraid to look.
Well, you know, they've more or less fluctuated.
No. Well, that's nice work if you can get it. I would love to see your dimensions fluctuate sometime. Might make me rather nervous, but... We may not be crooked, but we're certainly obscene up here. Get a load of those sex maniacs over there. Fine-looking gang. Got a lot of pep for a man with 6 children. Where he gets it from. Population explosion. Every 9 months in his house. Doesn't even wait until it's cooled off. Listen, you're laughing. This is a serious problem today. Try and find a parking space. You know what Shakespeare said? Parking is a sweet sorrow. Well, in what way is your husband romantic? Assuming that he is, which I question.
Oh, man, have you ever been made love to by a Frenchman?
Not that I can recall. It's getting like a burlesque show, this place. What does this Casanova look like?
Well, he's a little fella. He's 6'5", 250 pounds of... All man.
Pure mush?
No, all man.
All man, huh? What makes you think just because a man is 5 inches taller than 6 feet that this makes him a man?
Well,
you know, it doesn't go by size. A man's size has nothing to do with his ability in any way. I'm trying to keep this on a euphemistic plane. But I question very much whether I'm succeeding. I don't think I've succeeded at anything here tonight. Well, I admit defeat, and I rarely do that. Now, Mr.
And has an ample supply
boy. A
of...
white piece of flesh that isn't something? What does that mean?
I'm not on his
I've never heard it expressed quite that way. Doesn't he have any other white flesh besides that?
Well,
let's discuss your problem. I'm warming up for the Jack Paar show.
Some of them do. You have to look a little harder.
Have you ever been out with a married man?
That's not a very nice question. One time
I didn't say it was a very nice question. I was just asking you, that's all. It's just curious, that's all.
But it was an accident.
Well, it was an accident?
Yes.
What do you mean? He had the ring on?
Well, no, he didn't, but I found out about it and I was quite furious.
How'd you find out?
Somebody told me.
His wife? Listen, a single man can't afford to make passes. Remember that. It's too dangerous. If he makes passes, he's liable to wind up getting married. Isn't this true, Junior?
Well, I don't think so. I think that if a man stays on his toes, he can stay single all his life.
If he stays on his toes, yes. But invariably, they wind up on their heels. Well, you have a career, and your husband, Harry James, has a career. He blows a trumpet, doesn't he? Would you say marriage can be successful under these conditions, with your husband blowing his horn all the time?
That's not my husband, that's Betty Grable's husband.
Oh,
Just
really?
because I'm looking rather fat tonight, you mustn't think I'm Betty Grable.
Now, this is the real Pamela that I always knew. Well, I hope that's the... well, never mind.
No, I put it in.
Did you work before you became Miss England? I mean, what kind of jobs did you have?
Oh, well, I had so many, but amongst them, I was a dispenser in a homeopathic pharmacy.
What is that?
Well...
Is that like Christian Science?
No, not quite. See, if you had TB,
Yeah.
I would cure you by going to the laboratory and getting a little TB germ.
Going where?
Laboratory.
Laboratory? What's a laboratory?
Laboratory. You know?
Oh, you mean the laboratory, huh?
That would sound very rude in England.
Yes, well, it does here sometimes, too. Well, you go to the
Yes, I'd go to the
laboratory.
laboratory and I'd get a little TB germ, which has been medicated, and I would come and I would dose you with it.
You would what?
Dose you with it.
Dose me with it? How would you do that?
Well,
I mean,
I'd
how
get
would
a
you
glass
infect me with this thing? Would you do it in some pleasant way, like kissing me?
Oh, no. You'd have to take it, you know, drink
Intravenously,
it, or in the arm or something.
Well, I've been doing that for years. Well, okay, now I've got TB. Now what happens? I go to Saranac, I suppose. I was going to have my dog fixed, but they said it wasn't practical. Now you can take that out.
Can I say something?
I always like to leave something that they can remove. One week it's going to be me. Will you shut up?
Well, I enjoyed being here with you.
I have to tell you a story also about a colored preacher who, and this was his big day, and he thought he was going to get a big collection. That was for Christmas, you know.
Yeah.
And when he got the plate back, there was hardly anything in this thing, hardly any money at all. And as he was up in the pulpit there, and as he started to leave, he says, "Now, congregation," he says, "I'm going to leave now." And I looked at that collection plate, and there was very little in there. It was mostly very small change buttons, and I'm going to pass out of the church now. And as I pass down the aisle, you will notice that there's a piece of mistletoe hanging from the bottom of my coat.
I heard.
You can use that, Doc, if you want.
I'm afraid that I can't use that. I heard Will Rogers say once that a certain man's mind was like a racehorse. Ran best on a dirt track.
Gravy is what she had with her husband the night he met her. Isn't that true, on the steak?
No, we didn't have any gravy.
You didn't?
No, mushrooms.
You went to a mushroom right after that? That's what they call a motel, you know. Mushroom. What did people do before there were motels? Now, that's a recent development in the last 20 years or so. Ida, do you have any bad habits, or are all these bad habits your husband's?
Lord, yes, I've got bad habits. Everything I do is a bad habit. How do you think I got in this shape from being a bad habit?
But you love your husband, huh?
Yeah, I love every man. I'm crazy about men, honey. I think you're about the prettiest man I ever seen. I never did look you right square in the eye before. I'm telling the truth. I don't care if they do lie.
You're going to win a lot of money here tonight. Are you digging a deep hole in your backyard or anything?
He's talking to you, Charlie.
Mr. McLaughlin. Oh. Now, what'll happen when it gets 50 below on Earth? Will there be a run on long underwear?
Well, I'm sure they'll be able to sell every pair they have in stock. But primarily, the big objective, Groucho, will be to migrate the people by space vehicle to other planets that have more desirable temperature.
You're going to have to put your shoes on again, you know.
It is getting deep, ain't it?
Yeah. You going to tear out a page, too? It's got 5 kids. And he voted for Nixon. Traitors in every country. Him, I thought you could rely on. Oh, well. Well, would you go with me to a movie if I promised to sleep all through it?
Yeah,
I'd be happy to. I'd even drive you there.
You would?
Yes.
Would you pay for the tickets?
Well, I have a friend who owns a drive-in theater, so we can have passes.
Uh-huh. Well, do you know what your neighbor looks like?
Oh, yeah.
Well, do you take your neighbor to the movies?
No.
On her passes?
No, because she's got a family and she stays home with them.
Well, you mean nobody that has a family goes to the movies?
Well, her kids are... I don't know, sometimes I take her kids, too, but she doesn't like the drive-in. Because she has a husband, and they just stay home.
You mean that... What you're saying is that... What you're saying is that if you're married, you don't have to go to a drive-in theater, is that it?
I guess so.
I'm saying you're learning a lot about the younger generation here tonight. What sort of work do you do now, Karen?
Well, alphabetically, or shall I just rattle it off? Let me see now.
I don't care. You can attack this any way you want.
I'm an adventurer.
And later I'll do the same thing to you.
Promise? I'm an adventurer.
She may not know about Johnson being impeached, but she knows many other things which are far more important.
I'm going on
How did you get on a Japanese ship? Was this during Pearl Harbor?
No, you pay your money and you get on the ship and they take you wherever you're going. It's wonderful.
Well, they have passengers, though, too.
5 passengers, yes.
And how many are in the crew?
67.
Well, did you go through the canal? And that's what you've been thinking about for the last 10 minutes, huh? Well, it's certainly the last time I ever ask anybody what they've been thinking about. Don't you think she's very attractive?
Very much so. Very much so.
She's married, you know.
Yes, she told me.
Are you married, too?
Yes, I told her.
Did you tell her that immediately?
No, afterward.
After what?
After the ball.
Oh. Well, were you after it? Wouldn't you like to get up and sing the Halls of Montezuma? No? He doesn't like the Marines. There's a sailor there. Full of saltpeter. He can't hardly get up. What is there about this development that appeals to you?
Well, I think most of all is it's so spacious. All the homes are built on 1-acre lots, and our block seems to be a dead-end street. There isn't much traffic, and it leaves room for the children to run around and scream all they want.
Well, if there's a lot of kids there, there can't be many dead ends around there.
Well, it does. Well, I think it's very right.
Why isn't your work permanent? There's a lot of modeling work around Hollywood, isn't there?
Yes, but I've been to several agencies, and the only type they seem to want are skin and bone variety, and I don't think I fit the bill.
You don't think you fit the bill, huh?
No.
Well, if you're not... You're rather distracting, you know.
A steady job.
Your roommate has a job.
A steady job, yes, and we pinch
Well,
our
why
pennies.
couldn't I room with her? As long as she's working. Could I pinch your pennies sometime? I'm an old penny pincher from way back. What were you going to say about your car?
Well, when I go into a service station
Yeah.
and the attendant comes over to, check my battery, I don't let him.
You don't let him
No.
check your battery?
No.
I should say not. Anybody ever tries to check your battery, you hit him over the head with a wrench. Georgie, you're wasting your time as a model. You know, you'd make a great mechanic. You look like a mechanic. Don't you think so?
Oh, that was interesting to hear all that.
To hear what?
Oh, gosh.
About his 4 kids?
No, about, what he's doing.
Oh, well, you have a scientific bent, huh?
No.
Well, I would think so. Did you ever meet a fellow named, what was his name, Joe Sexauer? From Alaska?
Oh, you're pulling my leg.
Huh?
You're pulling my leg.
No, I'd be glad to. Bring it up here, I'd be glad to. Well, why did you ask me to?
Well, I didn't, I don't know. I never heard of that man.
Well, I never heard of a girl offering to let a man pull her leg and then...
No, that's an expression you say.
It is? You say that to everybody?
No, well, if you're teasing me or something, you say you're pulling your leg, my leg.
Oh, well, which one, I mean? That's like that old joke, the girl says, she says, oh, dear, I'm afraid I'm going to wind up an old maid. And I say, bring her in and we'll wind her up together. That's a real old joke. That's something like pulling my leg. I know you didn't want me to pull your leg, and I wouldn't have done it anyhow with a man standing here with 4 kids. You have to show a little kind of respectability with a married man. Now tell me, Joy, no, that's not, I like that, that's good. Do you like to cook? Well, let me put it this way. Do you like to fool around in the kitchen? Because if you like to fool around in the kitchen, you don't have to be able to cook.
Well, I like to...
For a girl that's been in show business, you don't seem to understand anything, do you?
Anyway, so then I...
How'd you get the baby?
Turned on the faucet and out came a little drip, I guess. I don't know.
That's the nicest description of motherhood that I've heard in years. Well, okay, now you got this little drip, and now the big drip is home, too. Now what happens?
Okay, so then...
If nervous tension and pressure are keeping you awake, your best tranquilizer may be a good night's sleep. And to help you get that sleep, here's Night-All tablets. Watch.
And then I got married after 9 months.
Well, you just got under the wire, kid.
He should love me, and he should...
Well, it's different. He can love you all right, but you mean he has to keep loving you 24 hours a day?
Well,
suppose he's shooting pool or something.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I don't know. I don't never know what anybody means. Well, how often would you want him to love you, I mean?
What?
I mean, what do you mean by loving you? I don't understand what that means.
Well, I want...
Well, I mean...
I just want him home nights,
I mean, how early at night?
When it's dark.
Well, in the winter it gets dark around 4:30. He might have a job. He might not get through till 6.
I'll wait for him then.
Well, suppose he had a job where he didn't get through. Suppose he worked nights.
Well, I didn't think... Did I say he had to... Well, then he has to be home during the day, As long as he's home with me for at least, those few hours. Those 8 hours work and 8 hours sleep and 8 hours...
You don't need a man. You want a guinea pig. 8 hours. Oh, boy. Would he get time and a half or overtime?
He's a good boy.
Before we go any further, do you have a nickname, or what do your friends call you?
Well, sometimes they call me Sam or Joyce.
That's logical.
Or Joyce, or most time Marilyn.
Well, why do they call you Sam if your name is Eileen?
I used to be built like a boy, more or less. But I think I outgrew that a little.
Well, that must have been some time ago. How old are you?
20.
I would say that must have been 18 years ago. What should I call you? Joyce, Eileen,
no, call
Marilyn?
me Eileen.
How about Sam?
I prefer Eileen. It's my name. So.
Eileen, yeah. Well, that's a nice name.
No.
Did you get another job after that?
Yes, I got a job as a secretary.
Uh-huh. How long that last?
Well, the boss kept me for 5 months.
Well, did you go to the office at all?
I was there always on time, but I couldn't type or take shorthand.
And it took your boss 5 months to discover this? What do you suppose he could have been thinking about all that time? And you weren't even engaged, and you were discussing with this fellow how many children you were going to have? Isn't that a little premature? Huh? I hope you're not a little premature.
Oh, no.
There's many a husband been hooked by that process, Jackie. I would say a good 50%. Do you have a... When you go out with a man for the first time, what is the first thing you do? Do you smell him?
Well, no, I don't smell him.
No? Well, how do you know if he's using shaving lotion?
Well, you don't go up to him and go like this.
You don't take a whiff of him, huh?
I mean, I don't know. You're not a girl. It's different.
Well, how did you figure that out? You know, that's the nicest thing that's been said to me tonight.
Well, you know.
Let's pretend that I walked into your place by mistake. And I sat down at your counter. And I feel miserable all over. Now, what do you do first?
Well, first thing I'd do is I'd look at your face, and I'd say, hi, what would you like? Because I always smile. This is what I mean about me being different.
You say, what would you like?
Yes.
Well, if we weren't here in front of this crowd, I have an answer for that. That would get me thrown out of the restaurant. You know? This girl, after she told you what size shirt you wore.
Well, I kept on coming to the store every day to buy a pair of shoelaces. Next day, maybe a tie or something like that.
She was in all different departments, huh?
Well, I was always chasing after her.
I see. And you finally lost your shirt, is that it?
Finally.
Well, what happened then? Was this girl the only one you took out, or did you have dates with other women?
No, I took her mother, too.
What was her mother selling?
Well, she was a perfect chaperone, so we took her along with us.
You mean you went out on a date, you took the old lady along, too?
Yes, indeed.
And what happened?
Well...
Silly question, huh?
You know, the 5 children.
Well, when you went out on these dates, what did the chaperone do? Did they just curl up with a good book?
No, they did the same thing as we did.
You mean you have 10 kids now? I stayed away from Mexico too long. Was this here or in Mexico?
No, this was here.
Oh, well, maybe I'll cancel my trip.
On another occasion, Groucho's guest was a French woman, and the audience seemed to be ready for what was about to happen. In fact, as is often the case, the audience was way ahead of us.
Now, Blanche, as a newcomer to this country, have you had any frightening experiences?
Well, I'm not a newcomer. I've been here 30 years. But I've had an experience once.
Recently?
Oh, no, quite a while back.
Mm-hmm. What happened? Could you tell us?
Oh, yes. I saw a woman friend have a mix master. And my husband told me...
Mix master?
Mix master, yeah. You know those
You mean
things.
her husband?
No, my friend had.
Oh.
A woman friend.
Well, what do you mean? You mean her husband was confused?
No, to make cakes, you know.
I thought you meant he was a mixed master. And that...
Anyway, they called it the mix master. You put your business in there and it... You know, your eggs and everything.
Clip, clip, clip. Here we go again. You think they're dirty-minded in France, huh?
He said, I'll make you one that'll beat that any time. So he had the motor of an old vacuum cleaner.
Would you mind starting over again? Have you ever had any frightening experiences in your country?
Well, that was a little bit frightening.
What happened?
He made me a mix master with a vacuum cleaner motor.
That we can use. Huh?
And then there was the sweet little old lady from Tennessee who ran a boarding house for college students. I'm sure you'll remember her, but maybe you won't remember this conversation because it never got on the air. And here it is.
Well, what did you do away up there north in Tennessee, Grandma?
I ran boarding house for the college students. And
college students?
Yeah. And I had the boys on the first floor and the girls on the second floor. And I sure kept me busy. Lots of times I felt like using a broom.
Why, did you want to fly around the room or something?
I wanted to whip them out sometime.
Well, I don't understand. Why did you have the boys on the first floor and the girls on the second floor? It seems to me that you should have given the girls the preference and put them on the first floor.
Well, we didn't.
You didn't, huh? And you have no reason for this at all?
No, not special.
So what happened? Why did you want to use the broom? Was it getting pretty filthy, this joint?
Well, you know, sometimes you feel like it.
Well,
feel like using the broom.
What was going on?
Just different things.
I didn't know there were any different things. I'm so innocent and naive.
And then another evening, Groucho was confronted by a rather generously endowed housewife with the following result. Let's look at this.
Where are you from, Joes?
Oh, Arkansas.
Boy, do we get familiar fast,
born
huh?
in Arkansas.
I beg your pardon? Would you mind throwing that out again?
Oh.
No. What have we here? What Marilyn Monroe is doing to this country shouldn't happen to us all.
I was born in a little shack in Arkansas.
At ease. I guess it's impossible, huh?
You may recall the retired vaudevillian who had been in the original Gus Edwards Postal Telegraph Boys act with Groucho back in the good old days. When he appeared on the show, of course, this led to some reminiscing with this result. Let's look at it, shall we?
But you know, I didn't sing that song, Dave.
I know you did.
You know, I sang Somebody's Sweetheart.
Do you know that?
Yeah, sure, I remember it.
Will you sing it?
Yeah, well, I'll sing it as best I can. Somebody, a place I have to tell you about this. Some big catastrophe took place in the United States. I don't remember what it was exactly, but we gave a benefit, and it was at the Metropolitan Opera House in New York, because at that time, that was the biggest theater. And I walked out on the stage, and there were 60 musicians sitting out front, dressed in evening clothes. I'd never seen anybody dressed in evening clothes, except my father when he got married. But here were all... Here were these 60 men, and I was stiff with fright, but I bellowed this song out. I was young enough to have courage in those days. Anyhow, this is the way the chorus went. Of course, you must remember that I could sing then. Somebody's sweetheart I want to be. Somebody's heart beating all for me. Somebody's two arms around me when I feel blue. Somebody's sweetheart, and that means you. That was it.
And finally, probably our all-time favorite. This is a sequence that has never before seen the light of day. And if we want to stay on the air, I guess it never will. It features a rather remarkable woman who runs a boarding house in Hollywood. And I can't wait to see this one myself.
A boarding house keeper must have many curious experiences, Mrs. Boehner. Do you have any hot ones you could tell us about?
Well, the worst one was when I first got married. I thought I'd surprise my husband. So I took him...
What'd you do, get him some steak from a cow?
No,
that would have galvanized him.
No, I decided I would bake him some rolls. So I put 2 yeast cakes in, and I didn't get
In your husband?
No. In the rolls.
Oh.
And then I put 3 more in. I still couldn't get no rise out of them. So then
Before you arrived here, this was a perfectly innocent audience. Well, go on with the story, huh?